15th, 2021 will now come to order. In compliance with the Open Meeting Act, Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1407, a current copy of the act is posted in this meeting room. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Bulkley.
Here.
Augustine Schulte. Here. Barr.
Here.
Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Kreshaw.
Here.
Lohr.
Here.
Roth.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Mayor Bulkley, the roll has been called.
Thank you. Mrs. Council President.
Our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make the proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. May our conduct show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all of our citizens. Amen. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. If at any time during this evening's meeting anyone in our audience would like to come forward and address the council for anything that's on the agenda, we'd ask you come forward. Please give your name, address, and we'd ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Item 4, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 4A, minutes of the March 1st, 2021 City Council meeting. Item 4B, resolution number R21-39, approving the agreement with American Legion Hartman Post 84 for the use of Pawnee Park baseball facilities. Item 4C, resolution number R21-40, approving the agreement with Columbus Mariners Baseball League for use of Bernie Square baseball facilities. Item 4D, resolution number R21-41, approving the agreement with Columbus Youth Baseball League for use of Centennial Park baseball facilities. Item 4E, resolution number R21-42, approving the agreement with Columbus Area Youth Football Organization for the use of Bradshaw Park football facilities. Item 4F, resolution number R21-43, approving the agreement with Columbus Youth Softball Association for use of Bradshaw Park softball facilities. Item 4G, resolution number R21-44, approving the agreement with Columbus Softball Association for use of Girard Park softball facilities. Item 4H, resolution number R21-45, appointing Terry Janacek as a safety and training officer for the fire department. Item 4I, resolution number R21-46, authorizing payments of various improvement projects. Item 4J, finance department reports. Item 4K, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and Council, is there anything you would like removed from consent status?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the items on the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. brings us up to special presentations.
Item 6A, proclamation declaring the week of March 21st, 2021 as Youth Appreciation Week.
Have a proclamation I would like to read this evening. Whereas the Optimist Club recognizes the accomplishments of youth in the home, school, church, and community, and whereas the Optimist Club promotes more active participation by members of families in the interest in activities involving the family as a unit and encourages parents to rededicate themselves to the responsibilities of parenthood, and whereas the Optimist Club encourages organizations and other groups to publicly show their respect for youth, and whereas the Optimist Clubs strive to provide the proper environment for youth, including opportunities for participation in recreational and social activities, and whereas the Optimist Clubs focus attention on the influence of religion and morals on lives of young and encourage youth to actively participate in spiritual activities, and whereas the Optimist Club encourages a greater interchange of ideas between adults and youth, leading to a broader understanding of each other's problems, I therefore now, James B. Bulkley, Mayor of the City of Columbus, do hereby proclaim the week of March 21st through 27th, 2021 in Columbus, Nebraska as Youth Appreciation Week. I will attend a luncheon where the Optimist Clubs will identify, I think it's 6 youths, 2 from each of our schools at the end of this month, and thank them for their participation in our community. All right, we'll move on to public hearings.
If anybody's interested, I'm a member of the Optimist, and if anybody would like to join, come and see me, and we can make arrangements for that.
Pretty shameless.
I'll get
Items,
that in before Rich
Do we
did.
have to offer,
Item 7A, public hearing, application of Richard R. Hoppy to rezone property located approximately 1 mile west of Columbus, north of Highway 81 and west of 63rd Avenue from RR Rural Residential District to MLC1 Light Industrial District. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, I move the hearing be closed.
Can I have a question?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is the property that is located in the land we just blighted, is that correct?
It's located within that
That
area 10.
of the blighted property, okay. So are they aware that at some point, if that project goes through, that they will be part of the city?
I'm not sure if they're aware of that or not.
Is that a detail that maybe we should have disclosed?
I don't believe so. I don't believe we're required to.
Just a
He's
question.
aware, he's aware,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I'm
he is
just
aware
asking a
of
question.
of the, the 2 mile program, and he's aware of that.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second, I believe. All those to close the hearing. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7A1, ordinance number 21-11, approving the rezoning.
Mr. Mayor, I move that rules be suspended and ordinance number 2111 be read by number only.
We have a motion and a second to read ordinance number 21-11 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 21-11.
I move that ordinance number 2111 be adopted.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 21-11. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B, public hearing, application of Jam Properties LLC to rezone property located at 3309 Brunken Street from R2 Urban Family Residential District, now known as 2 Family Residential District, to R3 Multiple Family Residential District. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second. We have a motion and a second to close this public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B1, ordinance number 21-12, approving the rezoning.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the rules be suspended and ordinance number 21-12 be read by number only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 21-12 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 21-12.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 21-12.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 21-12. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7C, public hearing, application of Casey's Retail Company doing business as Casey's General Store, number 1177 for retail Class D liquor license at 3821 Howard Boulevard.
Anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Yes, sir.
Hi, Taylor Anderson, 3653 36th Avenue. So, just to have a few comments, but first one question. If I understood it right from reading the application, they want to be able to branch out into wine and spirits instead of just beer. Is that the gist of what's in the application? Okay. So I'm not in favor of that. I mean, I grew up in that neighborhood about 6 blocks southeast of there on the same side of the boulevard. There's I think 4 schools right there, and that if you drew a half-mile, 3/4 mile radius, there's 4 different schools, 2 different parks. That's a neighborhood with a lot of kids. It's an old neighborhood, but it's still a nice neighborhood. I spent the first 22 years of my life there. We have enough places in town to buy wine and spirits. We don't need any more. I think that's just to state the obvious, but so I'm not in favor of that. We don't need to bring that into an area with that many parks, that many schools, that many kids. There's all the stuff that goes with it, increased chances of drinking and driving, which I know goes on today. That's not a new thing, but you bring in one, you'll bring in more alcohol. There's a lot of other things that go with it. So I just ask the council and Mr. Mayor to consider those points, and I would encourage a vote against that.
Appreciate that.
Thank
Any
you.
comments for Taylor?
I think, Mr. Anderson, our recommendation is just a recommendation. We have really no control. It goes to the liquor board, and that's where you really should make your statement, because we just don't, even if we deny them, they usually pass. And we've had a couple of cases that should have never got passed but did. And so, not that we're trying to dodge the bullet here, kick the can down the road, but that's kind of how this works. So for your information.
Okay. Well, thanks, Mr. Zwansky. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else against this public hearing? Anyone for this public hearing? Anyone want to close?
Mr. Mayor, I move to close the hearing.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7C1, application of Casey's General Store, number 1177 for Tina Stone as the manager in conjunction with the liquor license.
Mr. Mayor. Go ahead, Beth.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the application of Casey's General Store number 1177 for Tina Stone as manager in conjunction with liquor license be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to reports from council committees.
Item 10A, Public Property Safety and Works Committee of March 8th, 2021. Item 10A1, application from M&M Hanson Properties LLC for vacation of easement on lots 7, 8, and 9, Sunside subdivision, east of the intersection of Minden Drive and Cozy Drive. The Public Property Safety and Works Committee recommends to the mayor and council that the application for vacation of an easement on lots 7, 8, and 9, Sunside subdivision be approved.
Mr. Mayor, I move that this report be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this committee report. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 10A2, request for proposals to purchase and renovate the Jean Steffi Garage, 1365 24th Avenue. The Public Property Safety and Works Committee recommends to the mayor and city council that staff be authorized to send requests for proposals for purchase and renovation of the Jean Steffi Garage.
Mr. Mayor, I move that this report be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this committee report. Any discussion? You might just want to
Sure, I'll
touch on
give-
this so that the public has a better idea,
Yep,
please.
I'll give an explanation. What we're proposing, staff is proposing is the reuse of the Jean Steffi Garage. The city presently owns that property. It was purchased a few years ago in anticipation for a library cultural arts center and parking to go along with it. That project did not pass by voters, and after that, we all know that we approved a new police station to be built where the old Steffi lot was. So the garage is nearly empty. It was being used for some police storage, some surplus storage. A local citizen came forward and said that they were interested in purchasing and renovating the property into downtown business. And as a government agency, we cannot just sell to one individual. We have to go through a competitive process. So the best way to go through a competitive process and also get a desirable use in downtown and not just a use that is storage or something that doesn't benefit the downtown is to do a request for proposals. So we'll put out a request for proposals. A minimum purchase price recommended was $25,000, and we'll ask for their plan, their schedule, how they plan to finance the project. We've done this previously in 2018. We did it for some surplus land out by the armory, and today there's 10 homes sitting there. So we took 2.5 acres of unused city land and turned it into 10 single-family homes that added to the base and our economic development. So we're hoping to do a similar type of project with the Steffi Garage.
Plus, we had this on the budget to tear down at a pretty high price, too.
We've had discussions about tearing it down, selling it. Yes, so this is a good alternative.
Can you tell me what we initially paid for it?
For the whole property, which was the old lot and the garage, was around $350,000. The garage is in very poor shape. It needs a lot of renovation.
There could be a lot said about not being a good deal when it was done, if that's what you're trying to get at.
I wasn't here at that time.
And sometimes it's best to not
But-
look back, but move forward. Any other comments or questions?
The only thing I'd add is that it is a lengthy process, so I don't want you to expect in a month here that I'm back with a purchase agreement. It will probably, once we write that RFP and put it out, we'll allow a month for responses. Then we'll have to enter into a purchase agreement. An ordinance will have to be read 3 times, and then a 30-day remonstrance before we can close on the property. So we're a good 4 to 6 months out.
How are you advertising?
We'll put it out in the newspaper, and then we'll send it directly to anybody who has expressed interest.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 10B, Public Finance, Judiciary, and Personnel Committee of March 9th, 2021. Item 10B1, Proposed Fees for Use of Athletic Fields. The Park Board recommends amending the proposed fees by removing all fees for the use of soccer fields. The Public Property or the Public Finance, Judiciary, and Personnel Committee recommends to the Mayor and Council that the proposed fees be amended to remove the fees for use of soccer fields and the fees be approved as amended.
Mr. Mayor, recommend the report be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this committee report.
I have a,
Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering is there someone here from the soccer organization? I had a question that I thought of after the fact, after the finance committee meeting. So I guess I'll just,
Well, or Tara or Betsy's here.
We
I mean,
can
if they could
attempt
help
to.
you.
answer.
well, and I guess my question is, at the finance committee meeting, we talked about how the volunteers that we have are doing a lot of work to maintain the fields and organize things, which has been an advantage as far as cost savings for the city. But the other thing that came up was there's a struggle with some communication between the organization and the city. And I guess the thing that I wanted to request of them is if they would include Betsy in all of their communication. So anything they send out to coaches, anything with schedules, anything like if a game was canceled for weather or postponement, that she's included in all of that in a CC. So that even though they're not scheduling any kind of, we're not proposing any fees, but eventually that is going to become a city organization. And we aren't going to have the volunteers, just like Doug was saying, our volunteers are running far and few. And eventually we will be hiring someone to have to run that. And if Betsy has that information to track, then it's going to make it a lot easier when that transition comes.
Yes.
And so I would like to request that she's included in all communication that would go to coaches, that would go out to the public, not to the park board. I mean, if they want to, but it needs to go directly to her as well.
Sure. And I talked to Betsy earlier today. She actually said since the finance committee meeting, the soccer group has shared their schedule with her. And in the use agreement with the WPOC, we will have an added line that says that's required. So any changes to schedules, any amendments to schedules is required to be reported to Betsy. So I think we're covered there, so long
Good.
as that agreement is approved by both bodies, you
Good.
and them.
Yes, okay, good.
And we're
thank
hoping to do that with everybody. To
Eventually,
put it in
yes.
writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 10B2, proposed fees for fire protection of county industrial tracts. The Public Finance, Judiciary, and Personnel Committee recommends to the Mayor and Council that staff be authorized to proceed with notification to parcel owners in the industrial tracts with regard to a fee for fire protection to commence in 2022.
Mr. Mayor, recommend the report be adopted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt this committee report. Any discussion?
Sure, I'll give an explanation of this as well. There are presently 14 industrial tracts in the city of Columbus's jurisdiction. Those tracts are a variety of sizes. Some are a couple parcels, some are many parcels. Presently, one of those industrial tracts pays an annual fire fee, and the 13 remaining do not and have not ever paid a fire fee, a fire protection fee. So this was caught and researched, and what we're proposing is that we level the playing field and everybody is treated the same and everybody is assessed a fire fee. We ran some just historical information. In 2020 alone, there were over 45 calls just to those areas. Presently, the present billing for 2021 is in total for that one track $41,000. If we would have had billed all 14 tracks, it would have been about $175,000 higher. As you all know, public safety, fire in particular, are our highest wages, is our highest budget expense. Police and fire wages by far are our highest expense. So anything we can do to make sure we're being equitable in distributing those expenses, I think needs to be done. So that's why we're recommending this.
So this has been something that had been missed or just
Yeah,
not
I didn't
done
realize.
Correct.
for years. And so it's not anything new, it's just something that wasn't done.
Correct.
And again, it's one of those, you
Yep.
don't think about what happened in the past, you look forward of what needs to happen in the future. And people are they're in an industrial tract, so they'll tell the public what that is. I
Sure.
mean, so the industrial tract means what? to
An
somebody?
industrial tract is allowed by state statute, and a property owner can request to the county to be an industrial tract, and it basically prohibits the city from annexing those properties. So they're basically several of our industrial tracts are fully surrounded by the city limits, but we cannot annex them because they're industrial in nature. So because of that, they don't pay city sales tax, they don't pay city property tax. So they're getting a economic development incentive by being an industrial tract. Which we are fine with. We're all for economic development incentives, but like I said, we still do provide services to them. And it's also in state statute that any municipal entity providing services to those industrial tracts can charge the owner of those parcels directly a fee for the same service.
And then your intent would be to show them what that would be and not implement it until
Right.
the next fiscal year. Is that not correct? Yep.
What I'm proposing is that if approved tonight, that we will put together letters to each of those parcel owners that explains this to them and then identifies what their fee would have been this year in 2021 and just gives them a heads up that we're not expecting that fee this year, but that in 2022 we will be billing them for that service. And so they have a year to prepare for it.
How are you developing the fee?
The fee is developed by personal property and real property
Okay.
value,
Okay,
and then the fire and rescue budget.
okay.
And you have that one tract that is paying, so you have a percentage, you know how that applies to that one tract. You just use the same math to
Same
apply it
formula.
to the other 13 tracts.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Any other questions? I'm glad we found it. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to new business.
Item 13A, application from M&M Hanson Properties LLC for preliminary plat of Sunside Second Subdivision, east of Cozy Drive, south of Keene Drive, and south of Johannes Addition. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Mr. Mayor, I move the preliminary plat for Sunside Second Subdivision be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat of Sunside Second Subdivision. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13B, purchase of community service tech vehicle from Mike's Auto Sales and Service in the amount of $16,995 with a trade-in for the police department.
Mr. Mayor, move that the purchase of the vehicle from Mike's Auto Sales and Service be approved.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase from Mike's Auto Sales and Service. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13C, purchase of a pickup through the Nebraska State bid contract in the amount of $39,877 for the park department.
Mr. Mayor, I move the purchase of a pickup truck through the Nebraska State bid contract be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of a pickup through the Nebraska State bid process. Any questions? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13D, appointment of Rachel Lade as a police officer.
Council members, with your permission, the mayor would like to submit the name Rachel Lade for conditional appointment as police officer, subject to successful completion of all tests and training. The Civil Service Commission certified this candidate at their February 3rd, 2021 Civil Service Commission meeting. Per council rules, the 2-week waiting period for the appointment of a police officer is waived. Rachel Lade is a resident of Columbus and was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. She is a graduate of Lincoln High School and attended the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. She transferred to Bellevue University, where she graduated in November of 2020 with a bachelor's degree in graphic design. Prior to her graduation from Bellevue University, Rachel participated in an internship program with the Columbus Police Department. She currently works at the Cork and Barrel and the Rexius Nutrition. Ms. Lade will attend the Nebraska Law Enforcement Academy and the Columbus Police Department's field training course. This is a budgeted position. Council members, we need a recommendation for this appointment.
I move the mayor's appointment of Rachel Lade as police officer be ratified.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Let's vote on this, and Rachel is with us this evening, and if Chief would like to come up, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Mayor and council, it's my pleasure to introduce Rachel Lade to you tonight. She's our newest addition to the police department. We hope to send her to the academy the first week in May. And then upon graduation of the academy, she'll come back and she'll compete in our FTO process, and hopefully we'll put her on the street soon. So she's here tonight to answer any of your questions. So Rachel Lade.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
We're glad to have you, and good luck in your endeavors.
Yes, for sure.
I do have a question, though. How did you
Yes.
go from graphic arts to police
How did I go
officer?
from a scrapbooker to a cop?
That's right, that's right.
I've always had kind of an underlying passion for community and traffic safety, and I grew up around law enforcement. So now that my kids are a little older, it was a good time to act on that. So,
Great, okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Brings us up to comments from the mayor and city council members.
Item 13E, comments from the mayor and city council. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, no discussion can be held on this item.
All right, I know Councilman Barr. I'm sorry, Rich.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Last council meeting, I challenged everybody that was in the room to come up with some money, and I'd take a pie in the face. Well, that was one of the very first things that happened once the fundraiser started. You guys did that well. Overall, I talked with the director of the Paws and Claws Humane Society today, and they've made over $14,000. So Columbus, you've got to be very, very proud of yourself. And I understand there was a spike in the donations in the afternoon when one local mayor got a pie in the face too. So she said that was the highlight of her day. So, but thank you so very much. $14,000 will go a long way for those folks.
That was a nice event, Charlie. That was very good. Councilman Jablonski.
I was sad to read that one of our former city council persons, Bunk Kinzer, passed away. Bunk served the city for 21 years, and we just want to pass on sympathies to his
I didn't know
family.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that the notification was in yesterday or today, I think, and
Okay.
the city will be sending a condolence letter to the family to recognize that. So, yeah, thank you. Any other comments? I have nothing this evening. All right, we move on to resolutions.
Item 14A, resolution number R21-47, authorizing application of funds for operation of the Columbus Area Transit Program for 2021 through 2023.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R21-47 be adopted.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R21-47. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 14B, resolution number R21-48, approving the amendment number C to the standard agreement and general conditions between owner and construction manager, Boyd Jones Construction Company, for limited notice to proceed for demolition, site utilities, and preliminary earthwork for the community building project.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R21-48.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R21-48. Any discussion?
For purposes of informing the city, what all is involved in this?
In this amendment is demolition of the library building, utilities that need to, water lines that need to be relocated, things like that, preliminary earthwork, so grading where the libraries, after the library is removed, preliminary grading, that's what's involved in this price right now. At some point here, once design is 100%, we'll get to a GMP number, but this budget is falling in line with our overall budget as we're progressing. But as you know, we're delivering packages along the way so that our project continues to progress and we don't sit idly and waste time.
So this would be the beginning of the coming down
This
of
is
the
a-
old library.
This is approving demolition, site utilities, and
And it is
earthwork.
all part of the estimate,
Cost.
the cost amount that we put forth to the public, and we are moving forward with it.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Good answer for you, Councilman? Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to ordinances on the third reading.
Item 17A, ordinance number 21-06, approving annexation of property in part of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter, section 20, township 17 north, range 1 east, and in part of the southwest quarter of section 21, township 17 north, range 1 east of the 6th principal meridian, Platte County, Nebraska, south of the intersection of 3rd Avenue and 19th Street, and east of the intersection of 3rd Avenue and 13th Street.
You want to read that again?
No.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend,
These are nothing compared to what we used to have to read.
Yeah.
Mayor, I recommend ordinance number 2106 be adopted.
Come on, read the rest of it. We have a motion, and did we get a second? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I did.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 21-06. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to consideration of payroll and bills on file.
Item 18A, ARL Credit Services.
Mr. Mayor, I ask to be excused from voting on this, abstain from voting on this agenda item because I am owner of ARL Credit Services and therefore have a conflict of interest.
I move that Councilmember Jablonski be allowed to abstain from voting on this agenda item and to suspend the city council rules requiring him to leave the council chambers during the discussion and vote on this agenda item.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
I need to have groceries this week.
Somebody want
so-
to pay Mr. Jablonski?
I move that the bill for ARL Credit Services be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
I think I voted.
We know it doesn't count. Motion passes.
I was so excited.
Didn't think you were gonna get paid there for a minute, did you?
Meeting adjourned.
Voted aye? Oh, shoot.